Good afternoon, dear students. My name is Dr. Shuaib Mohammad Bhat. I'm working as Assistant Professor in the Department of English at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering, Hyderabad. Today, in this video lecture, we shall be talking about tenses, one of the important topics in grammar. Everybody talk about tenses. Everybody want to know what this tense is, what are the different tenses, and how can we use these tenses for our daily communication. So there are a lot of fallacies regarding the tenses, like they are difficult, that they cannot be understood easily, they require extra attention. So actually this is not the case with the tenses. They are as easy, as simple as other topics of grammar are. But what they require proper attention to be understood. Let us discover in this lecture what tenses are and how can we easily know and learn tenses and use them in our daily communication. Let's go with the introduction of the tense first. The word tense, it is derived from a Latin word which is tempus. Its root word is tempus, which means time. So tense is a Latin word. Its origin is a Latin word which is tempus and which means time. So tense means time. And it indicates the time of occurrence of an action or an event. So this time which I am talking about when I talk about tenses, it indicates, this time indicates the time of occurrence of an action. It shows the time of occurrence of an action or an event. In any sentence, an action or a state of being is denoted by verb. And in any action, in any sentence, an action or state of being is denoted by verb. So as I told you, the time of occurrence of an action or the time of occurrence of an event is shown by the time. And that in the sentence, action is shown by the verb or state of being is shown by the verb. So that means there is a relation between tenses and the verb, because verbs also show the time in a sentence. So we can say that tenses, they are directly related to verbs. Tense is used to denote a characteristic of the verb in a sentence and to depict the particular time in which a specific event is taking place. So tense is used to denote, it shows a characteristic of the verb in a sentence. So tense shows the characteristic of the verb in a sentence. As I told you, verbs, they show the time of the occurrence in a sentence. So that's what I'm telling you. Tense denotes a characteristic of verb in a sentence, and it depicts the particular time in which a specific event is taking place. It denotes the particular time in which a specific event is taking place. Time, it denotes that time in which a particular event or any occurrence happens in a sentence or any event takes place. Now let's go with some definitions of tense. First, I would like to quote the famous Oxford Learner's Dictionary. Oxford Learner's Dictionary, what does it say about tense? It speaks that it defines tense as any of the forms of a verb that may be used to show the time of the action or state expressed by the verb. So it says, Oxford Learners Dictionary says that tense, it means any form of verb. There are forms of verb. Present, past, past participle. We have present indefinite form. We have continuous form. So it means any of the forms of verb that may be used to show the time of the action. Any form of verb which is used to show the time of the action or state expressed in a sentence by the verb. So Oxford Learners Dictionary, it lays stress on the form of verbs. It says that any of the forms of verb that we use to show the time of the action. Like, I would like to give an example. If I say, I write, it's present because we have verbs first form, we have present form of verb. If I write, I wrote. So wrote is the past form of verb. So this wrote, it tells us the time of the action. If I write the full sentence like, I wrote a letter, and I also write one more sentence like, if I write, I write a letter. So see, we have two verbs here. One is write, one is wrote. These two verbs, they show us the time of the action. This write is the present form of verb. It shows that it is present tense. And it shows it's past tense because we are using the past form of verb. So that is what Oxford Learners Dictionary defines. That is how Oxford Learners Dictionary defines tense. So Oxford Learners Dictionary says any of the forms of verb that may be used to show the time of the action or state expressed by the verb. That is tense. Then I would like to quote Webster Dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary. It provides a slightly different definition. And according to it, the word tense is defined as a distinction of form in verb to express distinctions of time or duration of the action or state it denotes. Again, you will see it is the same point, but it is slightly different. A distinction of form in verb. It is a distinction in the form of verb, variation in the form of verb. Sometimes present, sometimes past, sometimes we use continuous forms, sometimes we use participles. So sometimes we use indefinite forms. So it is a variation of form in a verb to express the variation of time. It is the variation or it is the distinction of form in a verb to express distinction of time or duration of an action or state it denotes, or it shows the duration of the action or state which it denotes. So this is what Merriam-Webster Dictionary says. It is almost the same like Oxford Dictionary. So we come to know by these two sources that tense, it is the variation of the verb or it is the different form of the verb used in a sentence which show the time of the action or state expressed by the verb. Then let's try to know now how important is it to know about tenses. Why is it important to know about tenses? What can tenses give us? Why everybody is talking about tenses? You just see when we talk with the people, when we talk with the students. So many a time students are feeling very problem with the tenses. And everybody, I think every means every 8 or 9 students out of 10 may be complaining about tenses. So as I told you, it is not any Herculean task to know about tenses. It's a very simple topic which we can easily understand, we can easily learn if we pay attention to it. So one thing is this. Second thing is, why everybody talk about tenses? Because they are required. They are required for our daily communication. They are required to convey information, to share ideas. They are required to write down important information. So tenses, they are being called as the lifeline of a language. Let's see why everybody talk about tenses. Tenses are often considered to be backbone and the most fundamental element of English language or of any language. Tenses, when we talk about English language, tenses, they are considered as the fundamental element of English language. It is the foundation of English language. It is the base structure of English language, or we call it as a lifeline of English language. So it has an important role in English language, because as I told you, we cannot communicate in English language if we do not have the mastery over tenses. Because we cannot show the variations of time, we cannot show different actions which we are doing or have done on different time intervals. Without the knowledge of tenses, we cannot show them. We cannot talk about them. It will feel very ridiculous. You will feel very ridiculous if I speak like, if I have to tell you like, I shall be taking your class tomorrow. Now, if I speak the same sentence like this, I take your class tomorrow, or like I have take your class tomorrow. I have take your class tomorrow is totally wrong, because it doesn't have that proper tense in it. So we cannot communicate if we do not know the exact usage of tenses. Then tenses help you to describe actions that take place at different times. So we can communicate, we can talk about the work, we can talk about the happenings which happened at different time intervals only when we have the knowledge of tenses. Without the knowledge of tenses, we cannot talk about those actions which happened at different times. Then it helps to give clarity to your context and the information you are trying to convey. The information which you are trying to convey, or any idea which you are trying to share, it gives clarity to that context. It gives clarity to your information. You can clearly convey your information to others when you have adequate knowledge of tenses. There are least chances that you may not be misunderstood by the people when you have adequate knowledge of tenses. So you may not be misunderstood by the people, by your listeners. Why? Because you are conveying the information according to the grammatical rules, within proper tenses. You are using appropriate forms of verbs when you talk about your message, when you convey your message, when you convey information. And it allows you to build complex sentence structures. So if you want to be able to convey information clearly and properly, you should know all the 12 tenses and how they are used. Now, as I'm telling you, it allows you to build complex sentence structures. You can build complex sentence structures when you have the adequate knowledge of tenses. And it allows you to convey your information clearly and promptly. I would like to conclude this importance of tenses with this statement that it allows you to communicate effectively, clearly, and correctly. Your communication becomes effective communication it has an impact on the listeners. It becomes a clear conversation. Your listeners, they understand you clearly. There is a clarity and there is a perfection when you talk. So you get that clarity, you get that perfection when you have the knowledge of tenses. And when you talk according to the proper usage of tenses, when you show different time intervals properly by using different tenses in your communication. This thing you can achieve when you have adequate knowledge of tenses. Then we have, now what are the different tenses in English language? Let's talk about different tenses in English language. We have, say in English grammar, there are three main tenses. And these three tenses are further classified into four different forms. In English language, there are three tenses. And these three tenses are further classified into four forms. They have different four forms and which sum up to 12 tenses in total. So we have 12 tenses in total. We have three main tenses, and these three main tenses are subdivided into four forms. Each of these three tenses have four forms, four different forms, and which sums up to 12 tenses. So in English language, we have 12 tenses. What are these 12 tenses? Let's find out what these 12 tenses are. First one is present, past and future. These are the three main tenses, and these present, past and future are having four different forms. Let's talk about the four different forms. We have simple tense form. The first one is simple tense form. Second one is continuous tense form. These are applicable to all the three tenses, to present, to past tense, and to future tense. So the first one is simple tense form, second one is continuous tense form, third one is perfect tense form, and fourth one is perfect continuous tense form. We have these four tense forms. For every tense, there is simple tense form, there is continuous form, there is perfect form, and there is perfect continuous form. So for all the tenses, we have these four forms. Now let's have a glimpse on all the 12 tenses. For the present, we have these four. For the past, we have these four. For the future, we have these four. So these four are for present, these four are for past, these four are for future. I told you we have a simple present tense. Then we have present continuous tense. Then we have present perfect tense. Then we have present perfect continuous tense. These four tenses, they belong to present. Now for the past, we have simple past tense. Then we have past continuous tense. Then we have past perfect tense. Then we have past perfect continuous. So these are the four: past simple or simple past, past continuous, past perfect, past perfect continuous. Then we have for the future, we have again four forms. Future simple is there, future continuous is there, future perfect tense is there, and future perfect continuous is there. So in total, we have 12 forms of tenses we have. These 12 forms of tenses are reflected on the screen. I just narrated or I dictated all the 12 forms. Now let's see what these different forms are. Before going with these forms, I would like to make you sure I'd like to make you aware about different tips and techniques by which we can master these tense forms, these 12 tense forms. See, to improve our knowledge and usage of tenses, there are just a few things we need to keep in our mind. In order to keep all these 12 forms in our mind, we have some tips and techniques which we need to know. The first thing is, keep a clear mind, be ready to unlearn and relearn. Because there may be many events where at the first you have to unlearn all the wrong concepts which you are having regarding tenses. Then you can learn and relearn. So first, keep a clear mind. We need to have a clear mind. Yes, I am going to learn tenses and I can learn and I will learn. So this clear mind, it gives you a confidence. And by that confidence, you will try to find out what are the different tenses and how can I use them in different situations or in real life. And we should be ready to learn, to unlearn, learn and relearn things. So we have to go with practice. We have to go with exercises so that we can learn and relearn these things. Then understand what tenses are and how they are used. Second tip or second technique which we need to keep in our mind is, we should try to understand what tenses are. What are these tenses? And how they are used. How these tenses are used. How can I use a particular sentence for the present, then for the present continuous, then for the present perfect tense, then for the present perfect continuous tense. So these things should be clearly understood. Then there are particular patterns in which each tense is conjugated. The whole process would become a lot easier if you try to identify the patterns and understand them. See, there are different patterns by which each tense is combined, conjugated. Different patterns are there. And this process, when we look upon different these conjunctions, how things are conjugated each other, it seems sometimes it's a complex process. It seems sometimes it's a complex web. But this process, whole process will become easier if we try to identify the patterns and understand them. For example, if we have to write a present indefinite tense, so we need to know what is the pattern in which we can construct a present indefinite tense. Rather than memorizing it, rather than cramming it, it is better to understand this pattern. If there is subject plus first form of verb, so why is this first form of verb? It is because it's a present form and we require it for the present tense. Then why not present continuous? No, there is a different form of verb required. So it is better to understand these patterns, then it becomes easier for us to understand different patterns of tenses. So for example, the continuous tense takes a helping verb and verb in the present participle form, verb plus ing. See, as I gave you the example of present indefinite, now here I am giving you example of present continuous. When we are making a present continuous tense, we need the helping verbs. Like we need is, am, are for present continuous tense. Plus we need present participle form of verb. That is verb plus ing, like playing. Because we have here play plus ing, then it became present participle, playing, playing. So this is a pattern is there. For is, am, are, where to use is, with subject we have to use is, with what subject we have to use am, and with what subject we have to use are. So this pattern has to be understood. This pattern has to be identified and understood, then this whole process will seem easier to us. Okay. Then go through as many examples as we can find. Practice as much as you can and you will know how exactly each tense works out in different contexts. We all have heard that practice makes a man perfect. So we need practice here with the tenses. This is the case with lot of students. Lot of students have told me like, sir, we have been taught tenses by our teachers well. We learned them well, but unfortunately after 5-6 months we forgot everything about tenses. Yes, this will happen to you. This will happen in the case when we do not revise them, when we do not practice them. See, it is a practical thing. We are not learning speaking to remain silent for the whole life. We learn a language to speak it. We are not learning a language to be silent. I think it is very stupid to learn a language to be silent. If a person learns German, he should talk to the German people. He should make friends who are speaking German. So then what is the fun to learn a language and remain silent for entire life and do not use that language? Same is the case when we learn tenses, we should communicate them in English. We should use tenses in our communication. If we do not use them, what will be the result? The result is we will forget everything about the tenses. So it is better to learn and use tenses in our daily conversation. Now, there are, of course, a few exceptions. You just have to go through them keenly and apply them. It will surely take time, but you will be able to master it with your determination and continuous effort. There are some exceptions. Exceptions are there. Like there are some rules, some rules are there which are against your logic. They do not fit in your mind. But if we just go with the continuous efforts, if we try to learn them with determination, we can easily understand them. There is nothing obscure or there is nothing abstract. No doubt if there are exceptions, no doubt if there are some rules which do not support our logic, but we can easily understand them if we just try to learn them with determination and if we give our continuous efforts. And above all, there is one thing that you should add to your list of do things: read books and anything that is informative and interests you. Watch movies, videos, or even series, web series. So one should read books, one should watch movies, one should listen music. Because when we go on with the communication, when we hear people speaking, when we listen people speaking, or when we read people, so we are in one or other way, we are improving our communication. And we are becoming aware and familiar with the usage of tenses. And without even your knowledge, you will be able to develop your vocabulary and learn so many different sentence structures that use various tense forms. Even without even our knowledge, we can be familiar with different vocabulary, or we can learn many other structures of grammar where people use tenses if we are good listeners. So it requires a condition: we need to be good listeners. By listening people who are speaking correct English, who are having the correct knowledge of tenses, who use tenses correctly in their communication, we can learn tenses from those people also, without going to the books. I'm not telling you this is the only way to learn tenses. I'm telling you this is one more provision to learn. This is one more chance to learn. But it's better to go with books and go with classes, because there are some minor confusions which cannot be learned unless we are being taught by some expert. Then let's now move to present tense. For present tense, we have 4 different forms: present indefinite, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous. So we have these 4 forms of tenses, of present tense. Let's see what present indefinite tense is. It does not indicate whether the action is complete or not. It talks about the timing of action, but it does not indicate whether the action is complete or not. So present indefinite tense cannot tell you whether the action which it shows is complete or not. It does not tell you that. Present continuous tense, it shows that the action is still going on. Present continuous, it means the action which is going on in the present can be shown in present continuous tense. Action still going on, the actions that is going on at the time of speaking or at the time of mentioning or referring, that can be shown in present continuous tense. Then present perfect tense, it indicates that the action is complete, it is finished, it's perfect in immediate past, because it can create a confusion with the past tense. Past tense also shows the complete or finished action, and present perfect also shows complete action, but present perfect shows the action which we completed in the immediate past. Means it has been happened, or it has been finished before some time, not before a month or a year. That can be shown in the past tense. It shows the action which has been completed in the immediate past, but not the long past, long back. Then present perfect continuous form, it indicates or it shows the action which began in the past and is still going on. Present perfect continuous tense, it shows the action that started in the past but is still going on at the time of speaking or at the time of mentioning. These are four forms of present tense. Let's go with the first form, present indefinite form. Present indefinite tense in English is used to describe an action that is regular, true, or normal. Present indefinite tense, it shows the action. Present indefinite tense is used to describe an action that is regular, that we do regularly, that is true, and that is normal. We use present tense for number one, for repeated regular actions in the present time. So I can say in short words, present indefinite tense, it shows the habitual routine, the work which we are doing by our habit, the work which is in our habitual routine, that can be shown in present indefinite tense. Now let's go with the example. We have example number one. John sleeps 8 hours every night during the week. See, the sentence is about John. The verb is sleeps 8 hours every night during the week. So it says this is the habit of John, to sleep for 8 hours every night during the week. Is this like John is doing it for only one day? No, John is sleeping 8 hours every night during the week. So it shows his habit. It is his habit to sleep for 8 hours every night during the week. Habitual routine. I get up early every day. Get up. In order to form a present indefinite tense, I'll tell you first the structure so that you can understand these forms of verbs. The structure is we require subject plus verb first form plus object. This is the structure required for present indefinite tense. Now when the subject is first person singular, like I, or first person plural we, second person or third person plural, we use verb first form. Or if the subject is third person singular, he, she, it, or any name, we use verb first plus s, sometimes es, sometimes ies. Now where to use s, es, ies, that I'll show you in upcoming slides. So for present indefinite tense, we need subject, we need verb first form. If it is third person, then verb may demand S, yes or IS. Here we have the third person subject John. So verb requires S. That's why I wrote sleeps. That's why I didn't write sleep. I wrote here sleeps because this is present indefinite tense, and present indefinite tense demands when the subject is third person, verb demands S, es or is. That's why the verb is sleeps. That's why it is not sleep. That's why it is not slept. That's why it is not sleeping. So John sleeps, it shows same. Then we have get up. Get, first form of verb. It's not got up. Get up. I get up early every day. So again it shows my habit. This is my habit to get up early. Then Carol brushes her teeth twice a day. Carol, third person, verb demands S or es. Here the verb doesn't demand, here the verb is not gets up. It's get up because we have the subject as first person singular I. So Carol brushes her teeth twice a day. Again we are being made familiar with the habit of Carol, habitual routine. They travel to their country they travel to their country house every weekend. So again, this is the habit of these people. What is the habit? They travel to their country house every weekend. So this is their habit to visit their house every weekend. So we can show the habitual routine in present indefinite tense. I showed you the structure of present indefinite tense. Then, for things that are always true or generally true, or for the universal truth, we show universal truth in present indefinite tense. See, it rains a lot in winter. This is true. This is always true because it rains in winters. So, we have rains. We have third person subject and verb is rains. First form plus S. Then the Queen of Elizabeth lives in Buckingham Palace. The Queen of England, Queen, third person subject, verb requires S. And this is fact, she lives in Buckingham Palace. Then the sun rises in the east. Again we have a universal truth. Sun always rises in east. See, the sun is the third person. It is name of an object, then verb requires S. So this is how we can show the truth or universal truth in present indefinite tense. Now, as I told you, there are some exceptions. We can show a past event with the help of present indefinite tense in order to make the description more real and graphic. In order to show something more real or in order to show something more graphic which happened in the past, we can show that in the present. Like, Alexander brings a large army to attack India. It should be Alexander brought because this has happened in the past. It should not be brings, it should be Alexander brought. But why can we write brings? Why can we make it present indefinite? In order to make it more graphic, in order to give people a chance to visualize, to see what Alexander has done or had done. So we have subject as third person and we have verb which requires S at the end. Now let's go with another example. He orders the people to be killed. Again, Alexander. I should write Alexander ordered the people to be killed because he gave this order quite earlier. No, I can show it with the present indefinite in order to make the thing more graphic and real. And we call this past as historic past. Past events which we can show in the present indefinite tense, we call those events as historic present. It is historic present. What can we show with the present indefinite tense? A planned future. We can show a planned future with the help of present indefinite tense. Now, what is this planned future? Planned future is anything or any activity you have arranged earlier. Now, you have arranged earlier for your future. We can show that in present indefinite tense. See, I go to Calcutta next week. I should write, I shall go to Calcutta next week. But how can I show the future in the present indefinite? And here I would like to tell you one thing more. See here, the subject is first person. So for the first person, there is no change in verb. Verb remains unchanged. I go to Calcutta next week. So I have to go to Calcutta next week. I shall speak it in the future. I should speak it in the future tense. I should say, I shall go to Calcutta next week. I can speak, I can write this in future present indefinite if it is planned earlier. Now again another example. His marriage comes off, it's OFF, comes off next week. Comes, verb first form plus S, because it is third person, he, his marriage. Rahul's marriage comes off next week. So it is a next week. It should be his marriage will be in next week, or his marriage, will be coming in next week. So we are not using future tense. Sorry, his marriage will be in next week. For that, I write present indefinite tense. His marriage comes off next week. So by doing this, we can write planned future in present indefinite tense. And it can be used for stage direction. For stage directions, we use present indefinite tense, like, here comes King Lear and his attendant. Here comes. So when a person is doing some activity, we should use present continuous tense. With the help of present continuous tense, we are showing the activity which is happening at the time of speaking. Now somebody is coming on the stage. The logic says we should say, here King Lear is coming, because right now the person is coming. But we can show that in present indefinite tense, because stage directions we show with the present indefinite tense. So that's why we write, here comes King Lear and his attendant. Here comes Julius Caesar. You know King Lear? King Lear was a king. And there is a play written by William Shakespeare on King Lear. One of the greatest tragedies written by Shakespeare. Then, to give running commentary of events as they are actually happening, we can give running commentary of events, like we hear the commentary of cricket match. See, Kohli comes forward now and hits the ball. So we should say, Kohli is coming forward now and is hitting the ball. Because at the time of speaking, when a commentator comments on anything, that thing is happening right at that time. So it is better to go with present continuous tense. But no, we can show that we can speak this running commentary in present indefinite tense. That's why we speak, Kohli comes forward and pulls the ball. It's not like and is pulling. Or we speak and pulls and plays the pull shot. We are not speaking and is pulling the pull and is playing the pull shot. No, and plays or and pulls the ball. Okay, so this is about running commentary. Now proverbs. we write proverbs in present indefinite form. See, when old crow crows, little one learns. Old crow is the subject and verb is crows. When old crow crows, little one learns. An open door, name, tempts even a saint. Tempts, verb first form plus s. Make hay while sun shines. Sun, third person, shines, verb plus s. A stitch in time, stitch, third person, saves 9, verb first plus s. So proverbs, we write proverbs in present indefinite form. These are different uses of present indefinite tense. So there are other uses as well, but I would like to give you only these important uses because we have some other things to cover in this lecture. Now let's see verb subjugation and spelling. See, we form the present tense using the base form of verb, which I told you. Base form of verb means first form of verb plus s, es or is. And in general, with the third person singular, we add s, es or is. And for the rest, for first person and second person, for both singular and plural, we use the base form of verb. There are two examples. See, this is subject, this is verb, and this is the object, rest of the sentence. When we have the subject first person singular plural, first second person singular plural, it is both you, and third person plural, we use first form of verb, no change. It is I speak, you speak, we speak, they speak English at home. So there is no change in the verb. Now when the subject is third person singular, he, she, it or any name, so verb requires s, es or is. Here it became he speaks English at home. Now you must have seen there are many verbs which require is, which require es. It depends upon the verb. It depends upon the spelling for the verb in the third person. It depends upon the ending of that verb. Why does some verbs require es or is? It depends upon the ending of that verb. I will show you how. See, for verbs that end in o, that end in ch, sh, ss, x or z, we add es. If you have a verb which ends at o, ch, sh, ss, x or z, we add es to them. See, go ends at o, it requires es, goes. Catch, ch, catch, es. Wash, es. Kiss, es. Fix, es. Buzz, es. So the verbs which end with these letters, they require es at the end. Now for the verbs that end with consonant plus y is preceded by a consonant, we remove y and add is. See beta, marry, r is consonant and y we are omitting y and we are instead of y we add is. Marry, marries. Study, studies. Carry, carries. Worry, worries. Then, for the verbs that end in a vowel plus y, there are verbs which end with the vowel plus y. See, a is vowel then y. So we simply add s at the end. Plays. Enjoy, enjoys. Say, says. And there are verbs which end in s or z. When the verb ends in s or z, we double the s or z and add es. There are some verbs which add with s and add with z. What we do? We double this s and z and add es. Like we have quiz. So we double the z and we add es. And these verbs, they are not common. There are very few verbs. Now, here is the full list of all the forms of the tenses. See, present simple, it is first form plus s, es or is. For present continuous tense, it shows the continuous work. It requires helping verb am, is, are, and first form of verb plus ing. Present perfect tense, it requires have, has, third form of verb. Past progressive or past continuous, it requires have, has been, first form of verb plus ing. So it has been given for other tenses. We shall be talking about other tenses in the upcoming class. But here I am showing this table to you so that you can get an idea. See, there are tenses. Simple, present simple is he drives a car. Past simple requires second form of verb. So he drove a car. He will drive a car, future. I will let you know about all the separate tenses. Present continuous is he is driving a car. Past is he was driving a car. Future is he will be driving a car. Perfect is he has driven a car. He had driven a car. He will be driven a car. Then we have perfect continuous, that is present perfect continuous is he has been driving a car since morning. Where to use since, where to use for, I'll let you know. He had been driving the car. He will have been driving the car since morning. So I would like to stop here with this lecture. Today we discussed about present indefinite tense. I hope you all have understood present indefinite tense. In the upcoming classes, we shall be talking about other tenses. I would like to just say you goodbye. Goodbye and thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.